Carla Fitzgerald is a writer, a recovered lawyer, and mum of three from Sydney. Her first book was a picture book, Keeping Up with the Dash Hounds, and her second is a middle grade novel called How to Be Prime Minister and Survive Grade 5. She's done many courses at the Australian Writers Centre, and now she talks to us about her big breaks. Thank you so much for joining me today, Carla.
Thank you for having me on, Valerie.
Congratulations on your latest book. This is so exciting. How to Be Prime Minister and Survive Grade 5. I just love the idea of this. Tell us what it's about.
Okay, so How to Be Prime Minister and Survive Grade 5 is the story of 11-year-old Harper and what happens when her dad, who happens to be the Prime Minister, goes missing. And she tells no one and decides to take his place. So it's a story about power and families and what you'd do if you could change the world, because who doesn't want to do that sometimes?
Brilliant. I love it. Now, this is actually your second book. So this is middle grade, right? But your previous book was a picture book, Keeping Up with the Dash Hounds.
Yes.
And you have done so many of our courses at the Australian Writers Centre, all of the children's writing ones, but also creative writing. Tell us, because you're a lawyer usually.
Yes, it's
Tell
in a
us,
past life.
yes, why you wanted to write, and then now you've got two books published. Tell us about your break for each of them, because I think you had very different opportunities.
I had taken maternity leave after my third child, and I'm not sure if it was sleep deprivation or some other sort of insanity, but I started writing again. So it was mostly short stories in my head, usually while I was breastfeeding at 3 a.m. And then I started snatching moments of time to write, and I started entering competitions. I remember the very first competition I entered was a 30-word short story competition run by the Australian Writers Centre, and I was longlisted in that. So that was hugely exciting, and I think that spurred me on to want to learn more about writing. And I mean, I had studied English literature at university, but what I really wanted to know was the practical side of things. I didn't have a lot of time. I just wanted to do some short courses and understand more about writing and publishing as well. So that's why I started all the courses.
So you did a whole heap of courses, a lot of the children's writing courses, creative writing, but then you went a step further. You actually kept on writing and you wrote your book and you pitched it to publishers. Tell us about the first one, Keeping Up with the Dash Hounds, how you got that book deal, and then how to be Prime Minister.
Yes, absolutely. So I had been attending conferences and book launches and festivals, and I just gradually got more and more keen on the idea of publishing my own book or having it published. So I also was able to identify which publishers I thought would suit my style. So I quickly realized that I liked writing sort of fun, silly, quirky books, and that's why I identified Larrikin House, the publisher of Keeping Up with the Dash Hounds, and fortunately they had an assessment service where you could submit your manuscript and they would provide written feedback to you. So I thought, well, I can skip the slush pile, and the worst that can happen is that I get some feedback that I can use for this manuscript. But fortunately, James from Larrikin really liked the story. It wasn't an instant yes from him. We worked on it for a couple of months. Mary, the art director at Larrikin House, had some thoughts about how it could be presented, and those wonderful people who are visual thinkers, and she was able to bring that to the story. She brought the Kardashian flair to it. Emily Smith, another author, worked with me on it. So it wasn't until a couple of months later that I was offered the publishing contract. But that was obviously hugely thrilling and exciting.
Can you remember when you found out?
Yes, yeah. It was it was an email in the end. And I just remember, jumping up in the air, and it was just so exciting. And I still feel like I didn't quite believe it until I got the book in my hand. I still thought this could be part of an elaborate prank, until I actually got the book.
That's crazy. So then How to Be Prime Minister is with a different publisher, because it's not a picture book, it's middle grade, it's a different age group. So how did that happen?
Yes, so perhaps I was feeling particularly confident, but that very same month in November 2020, I pitched that idea to Claire Hume at UQP as part of an ASA literary speed dating event. It was online, obviously, because it was 2020. I feel terrible. 2020 was such a terrible year for so many people, but for me, it was a bit of a breakthrough year. So I pitched this idea to Claire, and she asked for the first 5 chapters, which I sent soon after. And then pretty soon after that, she asked for the whole manuscript. And that was quite quick in the end, because I think I had the contract for that only a week or 2 later. And I do remember getting the email for that, because it was about 5 o'clock. I was cooking dinner for my kids, and I got the ping on my phone, and it was the email. And I just screamed and started dancing. My kids joined in. They didn't know what they were excited about or what we were all dancing for, but they're always up for a bit of a dance. And it was just the most brilliant feeling. And
how wonderful. I mean, but also good on you for putting yourself out there, actually going to the Australian Society of Authors speed dating event, for actually signing up and having the guts to pitch. So good on you for doing that. Now, what did you get out of the courses that you did?
Well, so much. I mean, with creative writing stage 1, I learned all these things that I didn't know existed. So I think good writers make writing look easy, but there's all this stuff, about point of view and the 3-act structure and narrative tension. So just getting that foundation is still so valuable. I mean, I still go and look at my notes and make sure that I am ticking those boxes. And when I realized I wanted to write for children, the writing for children courses were also so valuable, because there's a whole lot of tools you need for that particular area. So I still remember one of the exercises was when we got down on our knees to actually see the room from a child's perspective and see, actually, they might see things or feel things or experience things that are quite different to adults. And I still use that in my writing, because I'm not particularly tall, but I am taller than most children. And so I think there are things like that have stayed with me.
Brilliant. Now, you've got 2 books under your belt, and it sounds like you're really keen to carve out a career as a children's author. Is that the Grandmaster Plan?
That's the plan, yes. So I've been enjoying the promotional side of things the last couple of months, but I really am looking forward to knuckling down and getting writing again. So I do have lots of picture book manuscripts. I've got another middle grade manuscript that's nearly finished, and I have a shiny new idea which I haven't told my publisher about, because I'm sure she just wants me to finish the other middle grade one.
Well, I can't wait to see more from you. Thank you so much for your time today, Carla.
Thanks for having me on, Valerie.